So welcome to my first thoughts and reaction to the Sony State of Play that just played out around 15 minutes ago. And I really didn't know what to expect going into this. I watched the first one and I was a little let down. I thought I knew what they were trying to do. They were trying to capture the excitement of a Nintendo Direct. And I think that they missed the mark a little bit. And I thought it was too short. There wasn't enough exciting news. There was news, but it wasn't enough to make a little show streaming thing directly to all of us to watch. I just thought, oh, this is what it was about. There's nothing more to it. So I was a little let down to the first one. So I thought, okay, they've learned their lesson. The first one, they were testing it all out. This one, they've saved a bunch of stuff. It's going to be exciting. The one thing we knew we were going to find out was some news about The Last of Us Part 2. Probably a release date, which we did find. So going in, it starts and I'm like, what's going to happen? Are we going to get some PlayStation 5 news? What is this? So it starts off and they show like a simulation of all these human characters fighting against each other, getting pushed all over the place. And I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, John, is this like a PlayStation 5 demo? Is this what they're showing? And I'm building this up in my mind like so much. I'm like, this is what it is. And then all of a sudden, the title comes on the screen and it just says Humanity. And I'm like, Humanity? And it's just some simulation game that's coming out. And I'm like, oh, okay. We're not starting off truly exciting, but I'm like, okay, that's okay. They just started off with a bit of that. I'm sure they're saving some of the best for in the middle. You know, they're not going to show the best right away, but I'm like, okay. All right. The next thing they showed was Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And what was my reaction to that? Well, it's a Call of Duty game that's coming out, and there's always a lot of these games. There's one usually every single year. So I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's Call of Duty. And then I moved on and waited for the next announcement. And what was the next announcement? It was by the creator of Katamari Damacy. So all of a sudden I get super excited. I'm like, oh my God, like, what is he cooking up? What are they cooking up on this team? And then they showed some interesting characters and kind of interacting with each other. And I didn't really know what to think of it. I couldn't understand how the game really played out. And all of a sudden it just announced it as being this game called Wattam. And I'm like, okay, that's a game. That's a thing, and it's coming out. It's got co-op. It's coming out in December of 2019, the end of the year. I don't know. I must admit, it looks interesting, but I wasn't going crazy about this game. Next up was some VR news, and that's kind of surprising because the VR front has been rather quiet lately, and this was interesting. It kind of caught me off guard. I like the idea of it. I don't know if I'll play it, and that is Noire VR. Now, hold on a second here. I like this time period, and I love the whole detective stuff going on. I loved J.B. Harold Murder Club on the TurboGrafx. I like solving mysteries, and I thought, ooh, kind of doing that in VR is a fascinating experience. So I like that, but the reality is, am I going to play that? Do I have time for this kind of experience? And I don't know, but it is released today, so anybody who's curious out there, you can go and check it out. And they showed a lot of other VR games. They were showing that VR is continuing on the PS4, and I'm kind of glad about that because I got the headset a couple of years ago, and it started off with a bit of a bang, and it's kind of slowed down over the years. I was waiting for some kind of like JRPGs on the system, and we never quite got them. I know that was a personal wish for me. They did show today Space Channel 5, and I was like, oh, that's fascinating to see. What a strange game to bring to VR, but I guess it kind of makes sense at the same time. They showed the Medieval demo playing. That's available, and the full game is coming out in October. It's kind of a really kind of cool Halloween game. I remember it from back in the day. I never played it though. I have a lot of friends that really enjoyed that game. We're always saying, you gotta play Medieval. And I'm like, yeah, I'll get to it. I never got to it. But that was kind of fascinating. Now, the big news of the year. Well, it's not the biggest news of the year. I had to make that a little bit more exciting than they did for us in this state of play. But Civilization 6 is coming to the PlayStation 4, the great simulation game, a game, again, all my friends on PC have loved over the years. I mean, this has got such a huge cult following, and if you've ever been curious about it, it is coming to PS4. Now, there was one bit of news that made me kind of go, what? I got a little bit excited about it. I was glad I was wearing my Kojima Productions shirt. And so, this was fascinating. They're releasing a limited edition PlayStation Pro Death Stranding edition. Now, when I saw that, I was like, that's pretty cool. And I'm like, John, are we going to get that? We're like, nope. We already got the special edition. That's enough. That's enough for sure. But I got to say, I always love it when they release these special editions, like how they did for Spider-Man, and they did it, now for Death Stranding. I love these over the years, these themed editions that I swear to God, they're available the first day, then they're gone. And then they rack up in price you find them on Craigslist or eBay after that for $10 billion. And you're like, man, maybe I should have got that. Yeah, one of those type of things. But I did like the mention that, Death Stranding was getting mentioned, and it's fascinating. It's coming out in November, and I still have no idea what the game's about. I've seen so many gameplay bits on it, and I'm just like, what is this about? I have absolutely no idea, but I will be playing it, and I will definitely review it on the channel. Now, they said that PlayStation Plus was getting a few new titles. The Show 19, a baseball simulator, and The Last of Us Remastered is coming for PlayStation Plus users, which I am. So that's kind of cool to get those. I've already finished the remastered The Last of Us. But The Show, I know, I remember I was watching it, and I was watching the chat, and everybody was like, boo, boo. And you know what I was saying? I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, I've said it on the channel before, I really like baseball games, but I haven't played a lot of them on a console in a very, very long time. So if this is something I can play just for free, I can just, turn it on and give it a shot, I think I'll give it a shot. I'm kind of fascinated to play baseball. I hate playing the game in reality, but I love playing it in video game form, if that makes any sense. And then we were ready for some more excitement. And there was nothing. There was no more excitement. That was it for the show. No, they announced finally The Last of Us Part 2 is coming out in February 2020. Now, that wasn't the date is a surprise, but not that it was going to be mentioned in the video. And that is the problem with State of Play. That is the problem with it, where everybody had already predicted what we were going to see in there. We were going to see The Last of Us Part 2. We were going to get a release date. That's what we got. That was the big news. That was the biggest news, pretty much. Realistically, that was the biggest news. There was no other surprise things, nothing about, here's the PlayStation 5 controller, or here's another secret game that's going to come out later on. There was nothing like that. There was nothing that made you kind of go, oh my God, State of Play is awesome. State of Play is average right now. It's pretty average for just showing their lineup, and you go, okay, cool, those games are coming out. And it's no anger towards the games. It's just the presentation, it just feels very average. I mean, I don't even know why it needs to happen, but then again, there was over 100,000 people watching alongside me on YouTube. So there is interest in it for sure, but I think everybody goes in and is waiting for one of those big moments that I feel that we didn't quite get. It's great that The Last of Us Part 2 is coming out. Everybody's excited about that game. I really am. I really love that first game. It caught me, it kind of took me back. I didn't expect it to be as great as it was, and to be a real classic in video gaming. So more of that into Part 2, I can take it for sure. So what do you guys think of this State of Play? Did it live up to your expectations? Was it a disappointment? I don't know. I hope for the next one, there's a few more exciting things. I can't wait till we get into the land of the PlayStation 5 and some of those announcements and some of those big games. And we're on the verge. It's coming. Not quite yet, but it's coming for sure. So anyways, guys, until next time.